I will enact the first ever federal ban on corporate price gouging on groceries.
Well, hello, and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Rita. I hope you are all doing very well. There is a lot going on in the news cycle. And yes, I am back. I don't know if some of you read my community notes. Every now and again, I post in there, and I did post about why I've been gone for so long. So if you're interested, check it out. Anyway, so today we are going to talk about Kamala Harris's some of her proposals, her policy proposals. Now, yes, while it would be maybe fun and exciting to talk about whatever is happening with Cardi B, and Glorilla and all these other people that she often has performing at her rallies, because she is catering to obviously a certain demographic. However, we're not going to dig so deep into kind of the salaciousness of the Cardi B's and the Megan Thee Stallions as she did before she had at her rally. But we're going to talk about something in particular a little bit, and that is Kamala Harris wants to place price controls on goods.
How do you go after price gouging without implementing price controls? Because once we get in this zone, people start to get worried and they say, I don't know what she stands for.
So just to be very frank, I am never going to apologize for going after companies and corporations that take advantage of the desperation of the American people. And jack up prices. Yeah, I'm going to go after them. Yes, I'm going to go after them.
Now, this, I think, when you first hear this sounds like, yes, everything is expensive. And yes, all of us would love to have cheaper food and, cheaper everything, right? Sounds like a great idea. But when you really think about this concept of price controls, just on the surface, who's controlling what prices?
Kamala Harris says that as president, she would pass the first ever federal ban on price gouging on food, which would include penalties for businesses that break the rules. Price controls might sound like a good idea, but here's the truth. When prices can't rise and fall naturally as a function of supply and demand, all sorts of bad things tend to happen. If producers can't raise prices when their own costs increase, due to inflation, for example, they're often better off by simply not making anything at all than having to take a loss on sales. That's why price controls usually lead to shortages.
Okay, so you got to think in terms of, this is a vice president talking about putting controls on private businesses. Now, some of you who may be very anti-corporate may be thinking of Amazon when you think of price controls. But the reality is, we saw during COVID, Amazon was still ticking. Walmart was still ticking. All the big box stores were still moving and shaking. And I am not, casting any sort of, whatever over corporations. But what I am saying is, those are not typically the businesses that are going to necessarily feel the effects of price controls. Let's say you, as a small business, let's say you have a corner store. The government gets to decide how much you can or cannot charge for certain products. Now, they don't know anything about your books. They don't know how much you can afford, how much you can't afford. They don't know any of this, but they know that they feel like these products should only cost a certain amount. So first, number one, that's an issue, because we're talking government, huge government overstep and government intervention, which I don't know about you, but I am not crazy about the idea of the government being able to just walk into a mom and pop store and tell them what they can and can't charge for a deli sandwich. I'm just saying. But it goes a lot deeper than that. That's just a very surface view. When you really dig down into it, it basically causes countries to not have enough products, and for there to be huge lack, and typically results in bread lines.
Shortages of staple goods have become common occurrences in this rich country with the third largest oil reserves in the world. Many economists blame the socialist policies of the late President Hugo Chavez. He instituted price controls on some products to curb inflation, resulting in both reduced domestic production and high inflation after the controls were lifted. Currency exchange controls have also restricted foreign imports. This is a crisis for newly elected President Nicolas Maduro, who must impose free market reforms before the economy implodes.
This sort of price control idea, now she's trying to reword this and play sort of semantics with this word price controls. Now she just keeps calling it, she wants to reduce price gouging.
We know that prices are up, but guess what? It's not because companies are hiking prices disproportionately to their own costs rising. If you look over time, over the last 4 years, you'll actually notice that producer prices, the prices that the producers pay, have risen faster than the prices that we as consumers pay. What that means is that they're absorbing some of these price hikes through the economy. If you look at the grocery industry in particular, so this is what she's targeting, the profit margins have shrunk to around $1.50 on every $100 worth of goods. So there just is not evidence that these grocers are so-called gouging or increasing their profit margins. But yet, hey, she could still implement this and, well, we'll end up with shortages. This is basic laws of economics.
When she first started talking about price controls, all of the left-wing media kind of came down on her like, don't use that term, because that term is definitely associated with all of the socialists and communists of today and yesteryear. These are things that communist countries to this day, like Cuba and Venezuela, still have in place, which is why they, in turn, have shortages and breadlines.
Amigos, en el día de hoy voy a hacer un trámite que es bastante importante para nosotros los cubanos siempre. A principio de año tenemos que recoger nuestra libreta de abastecimiento. Ustedes saben, la libreta donde son registrados los productos normados de la canasta básica para nosotros los cubanos. Y hoy va a ser el día en que lo voy a recoger. Estamos exactamente a 15 de enero. Hasta el día de hoy no han entregado esta libreta. Es decir, que no hemos podido comprar absolutamente nada de comida.
A lot of people think that Kamala Harris doesn't know what she's talking about, or I see comments online where people are saying, oh, she's such an idiot, or she doesn't know what she means, she doesn't know what she's doing. No, she knows exactly what she is doing. Kamala Harris has extraordinarily Marxist views.
America is ready for a new way forward. We are not going back. We together will chart a new way forward. We're not going back. Together we'll move forward.
We're not going back. Forward together. Folks, this has literally been the slogan of the Communist Party for the past 10 years. I'm not even joking. If you go to the Communist Party USA's website, 3 years ago, Communist co-chair Rosanna Cambron literally wrote an article titled, "We're Not Going Back, Forward Together." Rosanna is a communist through and through, and she's unashamed of it.
That's how we communists work. This is how you build that movement that's going to be the massive movement that we need to topple capitalism.
It's not a coincidence that this just so happens to be Kamala Harris's campaign slogan.
She was actually a part of a BLM type Marxist organizer type of group in college. So do not mistake her kind of schoolgirlish persona of giggling and laughing and this airhead thing that, oh, she doesn't know what she's doing. She knows exactly what she's doing. This is a tactic that she uses, I believe, to get people to think that she's a bumbling idiot, but she is not. She is purposefully trying to further the Obama strategy, which was to slowly turn this country inside out into a socialist country where the people at the top get all the goodies and those of us beneath them, get all the scraps and get to stand in the bread lines. Okay, all of the dictators of today and yesteryear do not have to stand in bread lines. Nicolas Maduro was caught a few years back having a wonderful steak dinner in Miami being served by a top-notch chef. He was not standing in line, and in the same time, his citizens were, half of them trying to come to the United States and the other half trying to scrounge around in trash cans. It's not lost on me that Kamala Harris is focusing a lot on a lot of other things and the price control. She mentions it in her rallies, but just as kind of like a rallying, like a rah-rah, like, yes, prices are too high, so I'm going to stop price gouging.
I will enact the first ever federal ban on corporate price gouging on groceries.
but understands what that means. That means that she is going to, she wants to universally attempt to regulate prices of small businesses. She says she's for small businesses, but no. Let COVID be an example to you of what happens during crisis. Small businesses, poor people, middle-class people are always the ones who reap the consequences of bad decisions and bad policies.
I'm losing everything. Everything I own is being taken away from me.
This woman had remodeled her restaurant for COVID.
All the work I did for outdoor dining, for tables being 7 feet apart.
Her kind of dining was suddenly forbidden, but not for the politically connected.
They set up a movie company right next to my outdoor patio.
They're allowed to have outdoor dining right next to her restaurant.
Tell me that this is dangerous, but right next to me as a slap in my face.
So, don't let her, she does have policy stances. Many people say Kamala doesn't have a policy stance. She has no policies. She absolutely has policies. She is not for freedom. Please don't buy this. She is using and playing on the emotions of a lot of people on emotional topics about something intimate like your body in order to get you to ignore that she's going to have your body in a breadline. So don't be fooled by the rhetoric. Until next time, ciao. God bless.